appreciate the delay.
We're glad to have you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, fellow voters and candidates, welcome to the beautiful Hearst Public Library. We are here to have a debate among your Texas Railroad Commissioner candidates. My name is Jessica Pallett, and first I would like to introduce the candidates to you. Martina Salinas is the Green Party candidate for Texas Railroad Commission in the 2016 election. She was also a Green Party candidate for Texas Railroad Commission in the 2014 elections. Salinas is proud to call Laredo, Texas, her hometown. She attended college at the University of Houston, earning a degree in civil technologies and construction management. Martina is a construction inspector and has worked in the construction industry for 10 years. Welcome. Thank you. Grady Yarbrough is the Democratic candidate for the Texas Railroad Commission. He was a former Democratic candidate for U.S. Senate in 2012. Yarbrough is a retired school teacher holding a business education degree from Texas College and a master's in education from Prairie View A&M University. Yarbrough is also a Navy veteran. Mark Miller is the Libertarian candidate for Texas Railroad Commission in the 2016 election. He was also a Libertarian candidate for Texas Railroad Commission in the 2014 elections. A native Texan, Miller has worked as a petroleum engineer, an associate professor, and a chief technology officer. He holds a Bachelor of Science in Engineering from Harvey Mudd College and a PhD from Stanford University. Welcome, Mark. Wayne Christian is the Republican candidate who decided not to show today.
Boo!
Oh, yeah. Indeed.
Boo!
Please help me one more round of applause to welcome our candidate. I'd also like to introduce some of the organizers of this great forum and debate today. Please give a hand for Brooke Bailey and Diana Wood. Thank you, ladies. And also, I'd like to have one last call for any questions that you wanted to ask the candidates today. If you have any more, please pass them to Brooke. Anybody else? Thank you for that question. For this debate, we have established the following format. Each candidate will be given up to 3 minutes for an opening statement. Liz Scripter is going to be keeping time. Can you tell us about the time indicators?
For the 3 minutes that you have the opening statements, I will display a yellow card when you have 30 seconds left, and when you hit 3 minutes, you get a red card.
Thank you, Liz. All questions will be solicited from the audience in writing, as we've done. A representative from each party will obtain a question from the audience and give them to the moderator. As we do, we're really doing it. Awesome. The purpose is to assist the duplication, clarify illegible handwriting, and to ensure that all the questions are addressed. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond to a question and 1 minute for rebuttal. Liz, tell us about the time cards for those 2 times.
For the 2-minute responses, when you have 30 seconds left, I will display a yellow card, and when you hit 2 minutes, I'll display the red card. For the 1 minute rebuttal, when you have 15 seconds left, I will display the yellow card and a red card after your time is up.
Thank you, Liz. And finally, candidates will take turns answering the questions first, as dictated by me, the moderator. Candidates, we wish you luck. Commission's role? And what experience do you have that better qualifies you over your fellow candidates?
The Texas Railroad Commission, in its current form, is supposed to regulate the oil and gas industry in Texas. It's supposed to be in charge of pipeline safety, and it's also supposed to oversee surface mining, which we don't have a lot of in Texas right now, and also promote alternative fuels. For them, the definition of alternative fuels are propane, liquefied natural gas, and butane. Absolutely no biodiesel, which to me is the actual alternative fuel. But I think I'm best qualified for this position to be a consumer advocate. I do have construction experience. I could have easily gone into the oil and gas industry, which I did not, but I have experience out in the field. The previous candidates, previous winners have worked in the industry, but as CPAs, or they worked for their father in their legislative office. But I really do think that the commission needs to come back to be a consumer advocacy group, and that's what I want to do. I want to stand for the people of Texas, not the industry. So we can no longer stand to have this commission be an industry spokesman.
Grady, go ahead. Same question and with your introduction.
Well, my experience has been in the field of education. I think I've said that to some of you. I'm not, experienced in the oil and gas industry. To me, I think it needs someone that is outside of that industry and that are not, or is not rather, captivated by the oil and gas industry. I would be an advocate for the people. The people's rights are trampled. They are not heard. The example that I'm referring to is the ban that was voted upon in the Denton area. They voted to ban the fracking practices that goes on there. And what happened, the legislature passed House Bill 40 that forbid cities and locales to bulk, shall I say, the oil and gas industry. In other words, gave the oil and gas industry a free hand to do whatever they wanted to do. Now, we have, as a constitutional right, our eminent domain. In other words, you have the right to do and to say and to govern your property, and no entity can take that away from you. So I will be a strict advocate for the people of the state of Texas, and I think that we have to keep in mind that we live in an environment where it's true the business interests have a right to claim or to harvest or to mine or to do whatever they can to get our natural resources. But at the same time, the rights of the people should be upheld. It should not all be the rights of the business corporations to do what they want over the wills and the rights of the people. So therefore, I will work to maintain that the people have a voice in whatever goes on in their neighborhood.
Thank you, Grady. And Mark, same question in your introduction.
I'm different from the other two in the sense that I have a long, strong history in oil and gas. I have worked as a petroleum engineer. I tell my wife I've been oil field trash. She doesn't like the term, but those of us that grew up in the oil patch know it's a term of endearment. Since 1972, I was 21 years old. Worked as a university professor for a time, about 18 years, taught petroleum engineering at the University of Texas at Austin. Have a PhD in petroleum engineering. The last few years before I retired, I did consulting work and had a small software company, supplied software to oil and gas. My connection with oil and gas, I really liked the way the Fort Worth Star-Telegram summed it up in their endorsement of me this week. They said something to the effect that I was deeply seeped in oil and gas, but from a respectful distance. All right, and actually that was a pretty good way to describe my approach to the Railroad Commission. I've also had a person tell me, who was a very high governmental affairs for a very large international company, tell me that she believed what I was talking about was tough love for the Texas Railroad Commission. That is, to make the Texas Railroad Commission into something that actually does protect our property, protect our common natural resources, protect our liberties in a way that it hasn't in the past. Unfortunately, a lot of the issues are highly technical, and frankly, the Railroad Commission is behind the 8 ball when it comes to technology. They really have not kept pace with the newer technologies that are out there. People believe that the only thing that they fight for is oil and gas. It needs to be different than that. It needs to be an agency that is seen to serve all of Texas. One of my positions has been to change the name. Some folks have suggested, oh, that's a minor issue. I don't believe that. When only 5% of Texas voters know what the agency regulates, that regulates the most important industry in our state. And I don't care whether you're pro-oil and gas or anti-oil and gas, it's clear oil and gas has significant impact on the Texas economy, on our lives, and voters ought to know who they're voting for. One of my reasons for running is to help educate people about what the Railroad Commission does. And the fact that we're getting a little attention in some of the newspapers that the Republicans and the Democrats have gotten in the past suggests that maybe people are starting to listen. And I hope that that'll be one of the legacies of my campaign. My wife hopes I'll be leaving the house and going down to Austin every day to work with the Railroad Commission. And if y'all come vote for me, I will. So would you please her very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your introductions, candidates. We'll move into the questions. You have 2 minutes to answer, and then you'll have 1 minute if anyone has a rebuttal. All right? Let's begin. I asked the first question first to Martina, so we'll move on to Grady. Will you pledge not to take a job in the industry you are regulating after you leave office? Grady?
Yes, I will pledge that I will not take a job in that industry. I also will pledge at the same time that I will not take any kind of contributions from any industry that has business before the Railroad Commission. At present, from what I understand, there are contribution derived from entities that's doing business before the commission. To make it plain to everyone, I'm not running for anything after this, so I don't need any campaign contributions. My campaigns will be over after this election, so I don't need any campaign contributions. So I can 100% say that I will not take any monies from entities doing business before the commission, nor will I take a job with an entity that has done business with the Railroad Commission. So the answer is emphatically no.
Thank you. Mark, a rebuttal?
It's an interesting question. Let me answer, first of all, similar to Grady. If I'm elected Railroad Commissioner, I'll be nearly 66 years old. I'll serve a 6-year term and be nearly 72. It'll be time for my second retirement so I can get that big fat state pension. Build my wife a pool. But look, it's really kind of a silly question, because imagine I was 50 years old. I'm a petroleum engineer, and you would ask me not to engage in my profession after I served the people of Texas for 6 years. I think that would be wrong-headed. I'm not sure why it's a conflict of interest to take a job in the oil and gas industry, especially if you've worked in the oil and gas industry your whole life anyway. To me, it would be like taking away my livelihood. If I was 50, I would lose my livelihood. So I really kind of think it's an unfair question.
Martina?
I agree of having a position in place of not being able to take a job with the industry or the lobbyist group that represents the industry, because I think there's too much of politicians trying to look for their future after office and not actually looking at what they're supposed to do in office. There's too many of them that what they're hoping to get after office is affects and influences their decisions in office. It's sad to see that and say that, but it is true. I can see where Mark is coming from, but there are so many that are not willing to do their job as a commissioner and stand for the people of Texas because they want a job after they leave office. So I do pledge not to take a job with the industry after I leave. And I'm only running because I think the people of Texas need it. So I'll be in there as much as they want. And I also pledge not to run for a high office while I'm still serving my term.
Could I do a rebuttal? Is this appropriate?
That was your 1 minute. Thank you, sir.
If I wanted a job in industry, I'd take it right now. Railroad commissioner pays $130,000 a year. If I were to take a job in industry, I would probably get at least 3 times that. Why would I possibly go to work for the Railroad Commission? Why would I possibly agree to serve the people of Texas when you would shut the door on me being a working member in my profession? I just don't think it's a realistic expectation.
We'll move on to the next question now. I'll start with Mark Miller. How can the oil and gas industry be regulated to ensure economic growth without harming the environment? You have 2 minutes.
First of all, I don't think it's the job of government to make sure that the industry grows economically. That's the job of the industry. But I think the question gets at what point is there over-regulation? And the main way that you deal with regulation is that you don't presuppose what the answer is. What you do is you make sure people pay when they harm your property or harm the environment. So the answer is to have a regulatory practice where companies can seek answers to the problems, and there's real problems, there's real things that need to be done to protect our groundwater. And certainly it's true that we should make sure that we don't put in frivolous regulations, that are regulations that sound good but don't really do much. And frankly, there's a lot of those around. And so I don't believe in sort of doing an economic calculation. If it's a good regulation, it should be a good regulation. I would be very, very careful not to put in regulations that would just not do any good. I've also proposed that the existing regulations need to go under sunset review, at least once every 10 years. And it's a 125-year-old agency. There have been lots of regulations. Frankly, they're outdated, and some of them aren't necessary. Some of them are just kind of kooky, frankly. And so by getting rid of some of those and focusing on the regulations that really matter, that really do protect people, that's the way we do that.
Thank you. Martina, a rebuttal, 1 minute.
What was the question again? I'm just kidding.
Over-regulation?
How can the oil and gas industry be regulated to ensure economic growth without harming the environment?
I work in the construction industry as an inspector, so I work with good companies, I work with bad companies, and I work with good companies that make mistakes. So right now, I don't think we have enough inspectors inspecting our well sites. Mostly the industry has been left to self-regulate or take care of themselves. And we know that is not a workable process. You have too many things that go under the radar, and we need more people out there. So I think we need more inspectors out in the fields and make sure they have a workable workload.
Yes, I would make sure that the equipment is working properly, that they use to extract oil and gas from beneath the surface. Make sure that after they have completed their work, that the the site is cleaned up extremely well. In other words, it should be left in the same manner that it was found. I noticed the strip mining process in one of the counties right out of can't think of the name of the county there. Anyway, they dig the coal out of the ground and they haul this coal to a processing plant. And after they are done, they cover the gaping hole completely. They even sod it with grass. And if you drive by that place, you can't tell that that was a pit mining process because it's completed so beautifully. Cows are grazing there just like nothing never happened there 3 or 4 years earlier. So I would make certain that the harvesting processes such as oil and gas make sure that they clean up and leave the environment in the same manner in which they found it.
Thank you, Mr. Yarbrough. On to our next question. Dr. Martina,
Yes.
hydraulic fracturing is causing seismic activity. Oklahoma has discontinued fracking. How will you address this concern? And do you have concerns of other human activities having a negative impact on climate?
I do believe in our scientists, and I do believe in global warming and climate change. I believe that man has created so much industry that we've affected our environment. As for hydraulic fracking, the disposal wells have been tied by numerous studies from universities that they do cause the earthquakes here. They also caused it in Oklahoma, like you said, and they shut down the disposal wells, even though for the longest time the industry and the commission has been saying there's no tie. So I believe that we need to start transitioning away from fossil fuels and transition over to renewable energy. I think Texas has enough sun and wind that we can make it work, and we can provide some funding with the Texas legislator to our universities to get the research to know what the best technology to use and the best sites. So I really want the commission to take up that forum and push for renewable energy, the actual alternative fuel.
Grady, you have 1 minute. Do you have a response?
Yes, I'm definitely against the fracking process. It causes our earth to shake, as she has indicated. I'm fully in agreement with what she has said. The oil industry, oil and gas industry, doesn't see it the way we do. They think that fracking doesn't cause any problem whatsoever. And studies has indicated that it does cause problems. So I'm in favor of weaning ourselves away from the fossil industry into a renewable type of energy. Just to throw a little humor into our debate here, the reason why I said that they don't see it the way we do, because if you can remember watching television, there was a lady say, "I'm an energy voter." Well, I just hope that their companies drill and get as much energy that we need so that I can fuel my cars with much cheaper fuel and I can save money to do other things for my family. I'm an energy voter. Well, that really has nothing to do with the process that we use, which is what we call fracking, because prices are set on the world market. OPEC is responsible for the setting of oil and gas prices. And so whether we drill a lot or whether we drill very little has very has a very small results on what the prices of oil and gas is going to be.
Thank you,
I
Grady.
say
Your
I'm not
time
a
is up.
red flag, so
Yes,
I
sir.
need to stop.
Thank you. Mark Miller?
It's an awfully big question to do in a minute. We'll
Yeah,
see
well,
what I can
make
do.
it happen.
First of all, fracking does not cause earthquakes, period. Period. It's not fracking that causes earthquakes. Wastewater injection is what is responsible for the earthquakes where we have.
But as part of it.
And the wastewater injection comes from all kinds of oil wells, oil and gas wells, not just those that are fracked. So it is not the root cause of the earthquakes. The earthquakes are real, they need to be dealt with, but as long as we talk about it being fracking, the oil and gas industry is going to ignore us They're not gonna ignore us if we talk about the real cause, which is wastewater injection, and it is something that needs to be dealt with. And I'll get back to the other parts of the question in a little while, but I just want everybody to know that we know that fracking is not the culprit. It's the water that's produced with oil and gas that must be disposed of.
Could I, rebut?
1 minute,
Okay.
1 real minute.
If it wasn't for the fracking, he said that water is what caused it, but then you have to use water to do the fracking. From what I understand, the water shadows the shale beneath the surface, and this is what produces the gas. So if you don't use the water, well then, fracking, you wouldn't have that problem, but the water causes the fracking. So you can't say that earthquake develops on its own. Something has to cause. I still believe in the old process that, whatever occurs, there's a reaction. In other words, there's an action and a reaction. The reaction is from the water being pumped into the earth. Okay, she said I should stop.
I need to rebut.
1 minute, Mark Miller, final rebuttal.
The vast majority of the water that's produced from any oil and gas well is not the fracking water. The vast majority is natural water that comes naturally with the oil and gas. So the only way to stop having water to dispose of is to stop producing oil and gas. It's not to say produce without fracking, it's to stop producing oil and gas. I'm frankly not ready to do that, and so we have to figure out a way to deal with this water. But as long as we keep talking about the myth that it's fracking, we will never get anywhere with solving the real problem, which is the wastewater wells, not the fracking.
Thank you for this. You ready for the next question?
I'm gonna bobtail on what.
Final rebuttal, on to the next question, and we can
Okay,
come back
next
later
question.
if you want
Okay.
to. Excellent. All right, Grady, how will Texas Railroad Commission deal with the estimated $165 million cost of cleaning up abandoned wells and drill sites?
That's a good one.
2
I
minutes.
think that the companies that left those well sites unkept should be called back and made to take care of the situation that they left behind. They should be held accountable for their mistakes, and it should not be anything that the public should have to bear the expense of cleaning up and taking care of. They made the money when they were drilling for oil and gas. They used that money to pay wages and to do other things and to pay the